This morning, while making myself a cup of hot tea, I received a call from an old patient, Mrs. Margaret, 72 years old. Her voice carried a hint of worry. Doctor, every time I check my blood pressure at home, I get a different number. Am I doing something wrong? Her question reminded me she wasn't the only one. Many of my patients have felt the same confusion, and I know that if I don't guide them carefully, those numbers will only add to their anxiety instead of giving them peace of mind. Today, I want to share with you not just how to measure your blood pressure correctly, but also how to turn it into a habit that protects your heart and your life. Hello there, I'm Dr. William Hart. Today, I'd like to invite you to sit down with me and talk about something you may still think is only important when you go to the clinic. That is blood pressure. I've worked with older adults for more than 30 years, and I've noticed something: many people only check their blood pressure during regular checkups, or when they feel dizzy or unusually tired. But blood pressure doesn't always knock on your door and say, "Hey, I'm going up." Often it changes quietly day by day, and we only find out when something serious happens, like a stroke or a heart attack. One of my patients, Robert, 68, used to believe he was completely healthy. He exercised regularly, and his diet was fairly decent. But when I advised him to buy a home blood pressure monitor, it only took a week for him to discover that his blood pressure was always higher in the mornings. That discovery allowed us to adjust his lifestyle and medication in time, potentially saving him from a dangerous complication. I want you to imagine this blood pressure is like the water level in a dam. If we only measure it during a heavy rain, we'll miss the days when the water quietly rises. Monitoring blood pressure at home lets you see those small changes, understand your body better, and alert your doctor early when something's not right. So let me ask you, how long has it been since you last checked your blood pressure at home? Do you even know what your normal range is? If your answer is, "I'm not sure," then maybe it's time to start. Because after the age of 50, blood pressure is more than just a number. It's the story of your heart, your blood vessels, and the way you've been living all these years, as well as how you'll live in the years to come. You know, in my more than 30 years as a doctor, I've seen many patients bring in all kinds of blood pressure monitors, from old-fashioned to high-tech, and quite a few of them sighed and said, "Doctor, the number I get at home is one thing, but when I come to the clinic, it's completely different." At that moment, I would just smile and say, maybe the problem isn't with your heart, but with your machine. Choosing the right blood pressure monitor is no small matter. It's like choosing a trusted companion for your health journey. If that companion isn't reliable, then every reading you get loses its meaning. I want you to imagine this. You're cooking and you need a scale to measure ingredients. If the scale is inaccurate, no matter how hard you try, the dish won't turn out as expected. The same goes for blood pressure. If the reading is wrong, every decision about your medication, diet, or exercise can go off track. From my experience, for most older adults, an upper arm digital blood pressure monitor is usually a safer and more accurate choice than wrist or finger types. These are less affected by posture and easier to read, especially when your eyesight isn't as sharp as before. One of my patients, Helen, 67, used to rely on a wrist monitor and was constantly worried because her readings fluctuated so much. After switching to an upper arm monitor, her readings became more stable and her anxiety eased. But you also need to pay attention to the cuff. It must fit your arm properly. A cuff that's too tight or too loose will distort the readings. I once saw a 72-year-old gentleman buy an expensive machine, but the cuff was too small, causing his readings to be consistently higher than reality. When he switched to the right size cuff, he sighed in relief. Turns out my high blood pressure wasn't as bad as I thought. Lastly, don't forget ease of use. A simple device with a clear display and easy-to-press buttons. That's what will help you maintain the habit of measuring your blood pressure every day. Because, you see, taking care of your health isn't about chasing the newest technology. It's about finding the right tool that you can trust and stick with for the long run. You know, I've met quite a few patients who came to my clinic with a stack of papers showing their home blood pressure readings, but the numbers were completely different from the ones I got when measuring them here. They looked puzzled, even worried. "Doctor, at home my monitor says I have severe hypertension, but here you say it's normal. Who should I believe?" The truth is, it's not just the device that matters. How you measure your blood pressure also determines how accurate the result is. Measuring the wrong way can give you numbers that are completely out of tune with reality. And sometimes that can lead to the wrong decisions in taking care of your health. I want you to picture this: measuring your blood pressure is like taking a snapshot of your body at that very moment. If you rush, your hand shakes, or the lighting is poor, the picture will be blurry or the color's off. Measuring blood pressure works the same way. If you're in a hurry, you've just been moving around, or your posture isn't correct, the number won't truly reflect the condition of your heart and blood vessels. I often tell my patients, before you measure, sit quietly for at least 5 minutes. Breathe slowly, relax. Don't take your reading right after climbing the stairs. Don't drink coffee or smoke 30 minutes before. And remember, when you measure, sit with your back supported, feet flat on the floor, and arm positioned at heart level. You might be surprised, just by adjusting these small details, your reading can change significantly. One of my patients, 68-year-old Linda, once thought she had severe hypertension because her home readings were always above 160/95. But when I asked more questions, it turned out she often measured right after gardening or after a heated discussion with her husband. When she tried again following the proper guidelines, her blood pressure was much more stable, around 125/80. She laughed and said, "Turns out I'm not high blood pressure all the time after all." And here's one more thing. Don't keep measuring over and over just to double check. That usually only makes you more anxious, which can actually raise your blood pressure. One or two readings under the same conditions are enough to give you a clear picture. I know it might sound a bit meticulous, but trust me, those few minutes you spend preparing before measuring will give you a reading you can rely on. And that, my friend, you know, blood pressure is like a quiet friend. Most of the time it doesn't bother you, but sometimes it sends very clear signals, and if we ignore them, the consequences can be severe. I once had a patient named James, 67 years old. He was generally healthy, just a little hypertensive, and still took his daily morning walks. One day he experienced a severe headache, blurred vision, and nausea, but he thought it's probably just fatigue or a bad night's sleep. He tried to rest and drink more water until he collapsed. Fortunately, his family rushed him to the hospital in time, and doctors diagnosed him with a hypertensive emergency. If they had been just a few hours later, he could have suffered irreversible brain or heart damage. I'm not telling you this story to frighten you, but to remind you that sometimes blood pressure won't wait for you to be ready. Symptoms like sudden severe headaches, shortness of breath, chest pain or pressure, blurred vision, numbness or weakness on one side of the body, difficulty speaking or dizziness so intense you lose balance. These are urgent warning signs. When they appear, you shouldn't wait until the next morning or try a few home remedies. You need to call your doctor immediately. I want you to imagine this. You're driving and the check engine light suddenly comes on. Would you keep driving another 60 miles, or would you stop to check it? Your body is the same. Those symptoms are blood pressure's warning lights. Ignoring them is like letting the most valuable vehicle you own, your body, head towards serious breakdown. As a doctor, I've seen too many tragedies simply because people thought, it's probably nothing or I'll deal with it tomorrow. But dangerous blood pressure doesn't wait for you to be ready. It acts fast, and the only way to protect yourself is to react even faster. So I want you to remember this one thing clearly: when your body sends an unusual signal, trust your instincts and seek medical help immediately. Call your doctor, call emergency services. That decision might save your life. And if one day you save yourself because you remembered this, I believe you'll smile and say, "I'm glad I didn't wait." You know, many of my patients have told me, "Doctor, every time I check my blood pressure, I feel so tense. My heart races, my hands turn cold, and I just hope the machine shows a good number." And the truth is that very anxiety can make the blood pressure reading higher than it actually is. I still remember one patient named Martha, 68 years old. When she first started checking her blood pressure at home, she treated it like a test she had to pass. Every morning she would sit stiffly as if waiting for a teacher to read her score. As a result, her readings were often unstable, and her worry only grew. One day I told her, "Martha, instead of thinking of this as a test, think of it as a way to say good morning to your body. You're measuring to understand, not to judge." Within just a few weeks, she felt much more relaxed, and her results became more consistent. I want you to imagine this. What if checking your blood pressure became a small, pleasant part of your day, just like pouring a cup of tea or opening the window to let the morning light in? You wouldn't fear it anymore. You could choose a comfortable chair, place it somewhere with natural light, and take a few deep breaths before you start. You could put on a soft piece of music you love or simply look out at your garden. Let your mind settle into a peaceful state so the numbers on the machine truly reflect your body's real condition. Science also shows that a calm mind helps produce more accurate blood pressure results. When your muscles relax, your blood vessels relax too, and what you see on the screen is an honest snapshot of your health. And remember, blood pressure checks are not about chasing a perfect number right away. They are about observing the journey, seeing how your body changes over time, so you and your doctor can make the best decisions for your health together. So let me ask you, next time you pick up your blood pressure monitor, will you choose tension or choose to smile? The numbers will come and go, but the sense of peace you create for yourself, that's what will stay the longest. Blood pressure is not just a number on the screen, it's the story of your health written day by day. When you measure it correctly, keep your mind calm, and treat it as a small act of self-care, you are actively protecting your heart. It takes just a few minutes each day, but the benefits will follow you for the rest of your life. And always remember, taking care of your health today is giving yourself a future that is lighter, calmer, and more at peace.